Welcome to the Unleash Greatness podcast with your host, Jonathan Mitchell. The best in personal, emotional, spiritual, and business development.
Welcome everyone. It is I, Jonathan Mitchell, once again here with Unleash Greatness, the podcast for you in personal development in health, wealth, relationships, and self-expression. Again, excited as always to talk to you guys. It's kind of nice to be able to divulge some information and things I'm learning through what I go through in life and just what other people go through. It's just been a blast. So I just want to make sure you guys know I'm just very appreciative of you listening in and taking time and leaving a review, sharing, commenting. It's awesome. So thank you. As always, this week is sponsored by naturalmedicinemamas.com. If you want to have a help with alternative medicine or natural medicine, please check them out. They have amazing products and stuff that help with anxiety and sleep and overall general health. And they're amazing. They're very close to me, and so I'm very much supportive of them. Check them out. Let's get to it. Today is book review day. Let's go, baby. All right, you guys, so I mentioned earlier how I was going to be going through a book that we've been reading that I've actually read before. It's called The Leadership Challenge, How to Make Extraordinary Things Happen in Organizations by James M., I'm going to say his name wrong, Kouzes and Barry Posner. So I read this book before a little while ago, and then for my leadership MBA class, they're having us read it again as part of the curriculum. So I'm super excited to share with you guys because this is, again, one of my favorite books when it comes to leadership, just because of some of the principles they teach, the stories, and just their come from and their mindset. So a couple things I wanted to go through real fast just so I can kind of explain the premise of the book. So their whole thing is about looking at what behaviors do leaders do on a daily basis that create their ability to move people, to shift people, to have them behave or change their behavior as a culture or as an individual or as a team in a way that helps them move forward. So I'm going to read you a couple of paragraphs out of this book. So in the very first part of it, it talks about, how to create this. Why do you need to have this type of leadership standpoint? So it says, trust comes from understanding each other's values and understanding our experiences and what we stand for. In order that to happen, we've got to be vulnerable and we have to be open. Then we can build the base of values and trust. So they talk about that, obviously, making sure you have an organization, a culture that has that vulnerability. But that all starts with the leadership team. The leader, whether it's you or the leadership executive team, what are you doing to make it so your team, your company, your whoever you're with can have that trust in you and have that openness and vulnerability. Very, very good book. So they talk about five practices of exemplary leadership, and I've always loved these things, and especially going through now for the fifth or sixth time in this book, and especially in class, had a different viewpoint of why these are so important. So these five practices from the book are: model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enables others to act, and encourage the heart. So once again, there's five practices. Number 1, model the way. 2 is inspire a shared vision. 3 is challenge the process. 4 is enable others to act. And 5 is encourage the heart. So these kind of sound like, well, yeah, duh. I mean, if you think about it, but it's cool when you put all these together, because if you take a leader, for instance, that has just a vision and doesn't enable other people to act, one by itself, one of these behaviors or one of these practices is not enough to really shift people. When they come together, it's like this, just like music. It's like when you have drums, guitar, voice, and everything else coming together. It's a lot more powerful having the group working in synergy as opposed to just one. So let's talk about each one of these real quick, and I'm going to tell you some of my favorite parts of this. So obviously, modeling the way is asking the question: are you the type of leader that models how you want other people to behave? Do you lead people by doing what you say you will do and what you want them to behave by? So if you want to have a trusting, open, vulnerable culture, Are you trusting of others? Are you open of your experience? Are you vulnerable with your own experiences? It's funny how leadership as a whole, we talk a lot in class how it's changed from being leaders being this untouchable, no mistakes, perfect individual, where now the leaders that are willing to be vulnerable, they're willing to be open and say, yes, I made a mistake, or this particular thing's hard for me, I need your help, or that kind of thing. When they're able to be open and model that type of behavior, people trust them more. They have more trust when someone's willing to be open. And especially now, like we come into line as a culture, as a people, we have demanded from our movies, from our politicians, from our every aspect of life, we're asking for more authenticity and genuine, real, authentic, just experiences, stories, viewpoint. We don't want a fake leader. We don't want fake movies. We don't want fake anything. We want real. Like, well, how would this really be in my life? How does this really affect me? So that's model away. Taking what you want to have happen in your family, your team, your business, whatever it is, and modeling exactly what you want to have happen. 2 is inspire a shared vision. So this one is one I love so much because for many reasons, but inspiring shared vision, when you're able to have a group come together, brainstorm on what you want to accomplish, and come up with the vision that is able to be shared, be unified, and bring people together. There's a lot of times where, like I've worked with companies before in the past where there's no sharing of vision. There's just, we're just there for making a paycheck. We're just there to take care of this thing. I'm just there to make ends meet. Like there's no vision above and beyond the actual tasks of the job. I would challenge you to create and find out, what is the vision of my role? What am I supposed to be doing in my family, my friends, my business, my hobbies, whatever? What is the vision that I can enroll people, influence people into buying into this vision, whatever that might be, and communicating that vision so it's shared and people own it and they're a part of it. One reason why some companies are so successful is because the culture and the vision of the leadership is so powerful that it attracts certain people to that company because they want to be a part of that culture. For instance, like the Ironman triathlons. It has a culture. There's other triathlons that people could do, other brands, other types, but Ironman is one that's created a brand, whereas a vision of creating all these amazing people and stories of people overcoming these amazing obstacles to get to the point where they are Ironman and run across the finish line. That type of vision. What is the overall vision that all the hard work and all the sacrifice makes everything worth it? 3 is challenge the process. So this kind of goes back to, if you listen to my review of the MBA yesterday, I talked about how one of the things they pointed out in the group or leadership class was the devil's advocate. This is the same way. So it's almost saying the leader is responsible to say, challenging the process and go, okay, what exactly is happening here? So I have a pop culture reference to this one. I've been introduced to The West Wing, back the old 90s 2000 political drama, and I usually lean more moderate to conservative when it comes to political views, and that show's a little bit more liberal, which is fine because I can appreciate it. But at one point, the president comes to the team and says, I want to find an answer to this problem. And his team kept saying, well, we need to do this, which was the old way of thinking. And what everyone always kept saying was, it's the military option is the only option we have. And he kept saying, I will not accept this. We need to think of something else. And he kept pushing him and kept pushing him. And so they finally brainstormed to where, through his leadership, they came to this idea where they could create a diplomatic solution to one where everyone thought it was a military option was the only one. So if you're willing to, and I don't know if you know this story, but it's back in like season 4 or 5 of The West Wing. It's a super cool story. But as I watched that the other day, because it randomly came on when I was going through this class, I'm like, that is an example of challenging the process. Being a leader that's willing to say, we've always done it this way. I'm tired of this way. I want to think of new solutions. And giving your team the space and ability to think of something out of the box pushes them. It puts your trust and confidence in them. It helps them be more confident because they're able to be vulnerable and open and say, this is really a stupid idea, but let's try it. And not having not meeting them with criticism, but meeting them with saying, okay, let's build on that idea. And then it becomes better because you're willing to work with everyone. The next one is enable others to act. This one kind of goes in line with the last one, where after you challenge the process, it's enabling people and giving people the space to fail, to be vulnerable, to be open, to have the trust to try on new projects, to not micromanage, and give them the ability to, to act in a way that it does not require your direct influence all the time. I can think of myself, like I've had managers on both sides where one was micromanaged and everything I did was looked at and shot down, and tried something better, and it was just crazy. And I didn't enjoy it. I thrive in a place where I'm able to drive myself and have my own ability to make decisions on what I need to do or not, and be able to experiment and grow and suggest things and have them be heard and functioning. So obviously their part of it is about saying, giving trust to other people, giving guidelines, obviously, of what you want people to accomplish, but then letting them have the space to try and to fail and to succeed. So the question is are you willing and able to enable other people to act and not be dependent on you? Lastly is encourage the heart. So one thing that's just amazing to me, we read some studies in the class about encouraging the heart. And it's funny how when someone they did this survey of people who have these salaries of six figures, right? All these people are super successful, 6-figure incomes every year. And they asked them, of course, money was a big driver of what they did, but they did a survey across different companies, across different roles. All they looked at was the financial level. It had to be over 6 figures. And then the other part of it was their happiness level. And it was interesting to see that those people, almost half, were not happy in their role, even though they worked doing a 6-figure job, which, a lot of people would love to have that. They weren't happy because they did not feel appreciated or recognized, or they weren't shown how they were valued inside of the company. And the other half of the people who were and did feel valued were the ones who had leaders that recognized their efforts, that gave them compliments a lot more than criticism, that kept track of their performance and said, what, last week you did this, but this week you did awesome, keep it up, it's amazing. Like just the little things that leaders do that are willing to stretch the leaders themselves and say, what is this person doing? How can I keep track of this in a positive way so I can point out when I see that they're doing something to improve upon themselves? It's amazing. This whole book is all about pointing out behaviors. It's not a personality thing. The biggest thing about this book is sometimes I think people think that leaders are self-made or they're just a personality, which I would say there are some people that are, based on their personality, have a natural born leader type energy about them. But even those people with that natural born energy still require skills and behaviors to create the type of trust and functioning high performance teams you need in order to be a leader like that. The energy definitely helps, but that's definitely not the whole thing. And that's their argument in this book, is just saying that it's not a personality trait to be a leader. It's a behavior set. And once you know the behavior sets, like these 5 examples or 5 practices, those are the things that you're able to use on a daily basis to really create change and create trust with people, because you're behaving in a way that they have found is the most effective as a leader. So again, let me review real quick. The book we're talking about is The Leadership Challenge: How to Make Extraordinary Things Happen. Amazing book, you guys. It doesn't matter if you're in a leadership position or not. I think these behaviors and the insights they have on this book are ones that anybody can put into their lives. Again, the 5 things are: 1, model the way; 2, inspire shared vision; 3, challenge the process; 4, enable others to act; and 5, encourage the heart. Be willing to stretch yourself. Be willing to say, I am someone who can be a leader, whether that's in your own business, again, your family, friends, whatever it is you're doing, your role. Even if your role is not necessarily a manager or director or executive or whatever level in a company, or if it's just your own business, leadership traits and skills can be learned as a behavior set. I believe in you all. You can be a leader. Doesn't matter what role or what you're doing in your life, you can do it. I believe in you. This is Unleash Greatness. I am Jonathan Mitchell. Thank you so much for listening in. Till next time.